The Ultimate Universe is 1 year in, and this week we get a preview at what is to come in the Ultimate Universe from Ultimate Universe Year 1, 1 year in, number one. That leads the charge amongst a great slate of comics coming out this week, and we are here to preview those for you on Pals Previews. So let's kick things off this week by letting you know what will be on the docket for Pals Pulls this week. We're going to kick things off with the aforementioned Ultimate Universe 1 year in, number one. So everybody who reads the Ultimates loves the Ultimates. It's by Dennis Camp with Juan Frigeri. It's been phenomenal to this point. So it makes sense that they chose the architect behind the Ultimates to write this one-shot issue that is essentially going to give us a table setting for what we can expect in the second year of Ultimate Comics. We're going to get the debut of some new Ultimates characters as well. And we might even see a sneak peek of the Maker. Who knows? Dennis Camp is being joined by Jonah Sharf, Mattia Ionico on colors. I think this is going to be great.
This is, I mean, it's on the cover, so it's not a spoiler, but this is the introduction of Ultimate Nick Fury, who seems a lot like original Nick Fury from the 616 universe. Anytime Nick Fury gets thrown into it, you know, shit's about to go down. There's going to be some espionage. There's going to be some world, universe changing things. And the fact that there is, I don't know if it looks like it's not S.H.I.E.L.D., but there's some kind of agency in the background of this universe that's probably aware of all the things going on is exciting and kind of getting a peek into more of this universe is something I'm looking forward to a lot. Yeah.
Can I point out since you bring up the art and the team, it looks like there's a hand on Nick's arm where the shield badge would normally be.
Yeah.
Could he be the hand? Could the hand be this version of the hand?
That's what I'm
Interesting.
thinking of shield, yeah.
Interesting. Huh.
And it says it on the thing, HAND, if you zoom in.
Oh, there you go.
Mixing shield and hand together. Interesting. Okay. Are they bad then? That's the question.
Nothing is ever as it seems in the Ultimate Universe, so who knows, but I am very excited to find out the answer.
And Jonas Scharf is also going to be on the new free comic book day issue for Ultimates. So the artist is going to be pretty important going forward.
Yeah, I'm this is my most excited. This is the book I'm most excited for coming into the week. But there's a lot of other good stuff on offer because on the Marvel side of things, we're also getting Uncanny X-Men number 7. I feel like this book is weekly at this point. I feel like we're always reviewing it. Last week, or it wasn't last week, it was 2 weeks ago that the most recent issue came out. But here we are getting into the Raid on Graymalkin. It begins in X-Men number 8. It continues in Uncanny X-Men number 7. Gail Simone, of course, on the words, not being joined by David Marquez. You would think they want to bring him back for the event. Instead, Edgar Salazar will join her. Well, David Marquez is also credited, so there may be more than one artist on this.
He's on the cover for sure.
Sorry?
He's on the cover for sure. It's a Marquez cover.
Yeah, definitely
Okay.
the cover.
Good. Victor Olazaba as well on inks, colors by Matt Wilson, letters by Clayton Cowles. I have made a declaration that I will not be reading X-Men anymore, but I will still read Uncanny. So I'm not going to get the parts of this event that are coming from the X-Men side of things. That tempers my excitement just a little bit. Hopefully, I can get the full story or enough of it from just Gale's parts.
Yeah, and ideally that I want to also see maybe some recharacterizations under Gale's pen. I think some of the characters and some of the interactions we've been seeing on the X-Men side, maybe they get done a little bit more meaningfully. I trust Gale a bit more on that front, but it's going to be a lot of characters to handle, so I don't know to what degree she's going to get to shine in that regard.
Honestly, I want to pick up this book, maybe even physically for the cover alone. It's like a direct homage to Marvel vs. Capcom, the way those characters are lined up,
Oh,
which I'm
cool.
a sucker for, and it just looks good. I don't know. I'm liking both X-Men books right now. I'm not loving it like I was, you know, Hickman, Krakoa era X-Men at its inception, but all in all, I'm pretty happy with the books. I think they lack a unified status quo, so maybe this is the book that can do that for them. So there's potential, but I am excited to read this one.
I consider myself much more excited, however, for Laura Kinney, Wolverine #1. Tyler will know where I'm coming from with this when I say that the all new Wolverine series from Tom Taylor many moons ago was brilliant, and it always makes me excited to get a potential series starring X-23 slash Laura Kinney slash Wolverine. This time, though, she's being written by Erica Schultz, who is a name that Marvel is definitely going to a lot more, which is nice to see for her. Been running around doing the indies for a long time. It's cool to see her getting more Marvel work, and she'll be joined by Gleda Belviso on art and colors by Rachel Rosenberg. We don't know a ton about what we can expect here, but it does seem like it's going to be Wolverine essentially going and taking out people who are forcing mutants to use their powers against their will. So that's a very X-23-ish type of idea, storytelling device to go with.
I liked Erica Schultz's work on Hallows Eve. There's a Hallows Eve miniseries that she did. I think she even helped create the character. So that's enough to be like, all right, cool, creative team. I'm not familiar with the artist, so that could be a pleasant surprise. But I love Laura Kinney as a character, and you're right, Sean. That Tom Taylor all new Wolverine is phenomenal. Introduced Honey Badger. Give me more of Laura Kinney, and she's in NYX right now, and she's great. But I can stand to deal with even more.
Yeah. I've been hearing great things about Erica Schultz, so I'm confident in the work, the quality that's going to be output here. And you know what? There's minimal interaction with me for Laura Kinney, so I'm excited to just dive a bit more in the comics. For me, my biggest familiarity really is from the movies, from like anything that's involved there in some kind of film portrayal. So yeah, I'm excited to see what this can be, and I think the premise is straightforward. So I feel confident in being able to jump in as well.
Over on the DC side of things, we've got Batman Dark Patterns #1. Definitely one of the most exciting releases, certainly this week, maybe of the last half of this year. It's going to be a unique book. First of all, it's written by Dan Waters with art by Hayden Sherman, colors by Triona Farrow, letters by Frank Kvekovic. And Hayden Sherman is a name that you guys should be very familiar with by now. They're the artist behind Absolute Wonder Woman, doing tremendous stuff over there. It's bonkers that they have another book coming out. My understanding is that they've been working on Dark Patterns for quite some time, so that is what is allowing this to be doable. But in any event, Dark Pattern is going to be a set of four 3-issue arcs that will result in a 12-issue story that is essentially a series of murder mysteries that Batman has to solve. If you're the kind of reader who wants stories involving Batman that involve mystery and the more detective aspects, this is definitely the place for you.
Dan Waters' backups during Rom V's Detective Comics run were like Gordon based most of the time. They were like, I mean, it dealt with like angels and stuff, but they were like ground level crime books, and they were really good, even though there was just a backup. So I'm excited to see Waters be able to tackle Batman proper, and Hayden Sherman. They're just a known quantity at this point of good stuff. Absolute Wonder Woman #1 blew me out of the water in terms of the art. Followed it up with issue 2. This seems totally very different, so I'm kind of excited to see what that looks like.
Yeah, the Dark Knight is a detective, man. That's what Batman is, and so for the mysteries involved, being able to do some of that sleuthing, some of that crime solving, that's fun. That's where Batman lives. And Hayden Sherman, yeah, I've seen some of the preview art. It is very different, and it feels a little more squiggly. The best I could describe it is almost like quietly. There's some level of that with some cartooniness that it's going to be an adjustment just because it is that much different from Absolute Wonder Woman. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
And finally, of the books that we plan to read, we have In Bloom #1. So this is that indie representation from Boom Studios. This is written by Michael Conrad, who, is one of our favorites. I mean, Michael Conrad has done a lot of great stuff. And then John Pearson will be joining him on the art side of things. And I don't know much about this book, so I'm going to read a little bit of the solicit to give us all some context. 43% of the cells within a healthy human body belong to something other than the human host. Microbiomes, invasive bacteria, fungal and viral agents, and something else, something more. When the bloom happened, humanity was changed forever, transformed by symbiotic fungal megasystems that infected their bodies. Some affected people grew new body parts. Some found their personalities changed radical new ways, while others reported contact with some other intelligence not their own. That's a good place to stop. That's super exciting to me. That gives me like Last of Us vibes, kind of,
Mm.
but like the beginning of that, like the apex of that kind of human change event. And I'm really excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, a little sci-fi angle, a bit more. Uh, he made probably body horror, so there's going to be a lot to play with the concept alone. And I love I love a good stat, man. 43% of the cells, symbiotic fungal relationships, microbiomes. Give me the your keywords, bro. That's a great way to buy me in.
Pores and fungi and stuff like that is like the new zombie in
Yeah.
this thing. Thank you, Last of Us. That's not a knock on this at all. I think it looks good. It looks creepy, looks gross, and like lining this up with the rest of the books that we're reading this week. It's like, okay, this will be a strangely a palate cleanser from the superhero stuff. The
Yeah,
gross, it's a palate cleanser of like a gross raw mushroom, which is like, all right, well, my palate might be cleansed, but now it'll just taste like mushrooms at this point.
gonna dodge an oyster mushroom now.
Now, the last book on the show is actually the one that you guys will choose because the Pals Pulls poll is up right now. The book that you vote for, the book that wins the poll, will make it and be the final book we review. It will fill in that question mark. And I can't wait to see what you guys end up picking. And I think we should go over the books that are on the poll right now to let you know what your options are. I think any week where the big two are putting out hot books, the poll is fire. So let's go over the poll right now. We've got Amazing Spider-Man number 63 on it, sitting at a paltry 14%. Transformers number 15 typically wins these polls, not winning right now, sitting at 20%. Green Lantern number 18 at 31%, and Superwoman Special number 1 at 35%. You guys can influence that by going to youtube.com/the Comics Pals under the community tab and casting your vote on the book you want to most hear us talk about.
I tried to influence it, and my book is currently sitting at that 14%. So
It seems to be the case for your picks normally.
yeah,
Speaking of picks, let's talk about what we pick that will be our honorable that will be our pick of the week on Pals Pulls this week. So the book that you think you are going to enjoy the most. My track record is 100% so far. Tyler's might be too. I haven't been keeping track exactly. But what do you think your pick of the week will be? Mine is easy. I believe my pick of the week will be the Ultimates 1 year in book.
That's mine too. I can't bet against Ultimates in a week that an Ultimates book comes out.
Yeah.
And it seems like I can't bet against a Dennis Camp book either. So we'll see what that looks like in the year 2025. But that's my pick going into this.
I think mine's gonna be in Bloom. It fits the things that I off the art and off the solicit alone. Like it feels like it's gonna fit the mold of the things that I like and enjoy, more so than some of the superheroics. I think that angle of horror and sci-fi is right where I live. So if anything, that's probably gonna be it.
Hell yeah. Shifting gears. Let's get into our honorable mentions. These are the books that aren't on the show docket, but are books that we are highly anticipating for our own reading purposes. Tyler, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, my pick is a strange one as a guy who reads digitally because I don't know how I'm going to read this digitally.
Hmm?
My pick is I just had it up. I got to find it again. 1 second here. It is The City Beneath Her Feet, number one. So this is a distillery book. It's they do very good physical quality books, but this is a distillery book written by James Tynion the Fourth with art by Elsa Chartier, colors by Jordan Belair, and art by Didier Bidikar. It's been solicited as for fans of Strangers in Paradise, Kill Bill, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and it's a love letter to New York City. in the bloodiest way possible. That's a creative team I really enjoy. I live near New York City. I'm often in New York City, so I would like love letters to it. I would say it's almost like another character in my life. But yeah, this is a really interesting book to me. Um, I might make it to my shop this week because I do want that Uncanny X-Men cover. So this might be one of the other things I pick up.
This wasn't on my radar until you mentioned it, and now it is. And this will be the first distillery book I buy in a while, thanks to you. So that's the honorable mention portion of this, working on one of the panelists. So
We'll see how this one works for you, Sean. Ultimate X-Men number 10.
spoiler alert, it don't work for me, but go on.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I've been. This book has transformed for me from. I feel like the last issue we probably would have done on the show would have been issue 6, maybe the end of the arc. But since then, I've kept up with it, and it has begun to transform into more of a mystery. More of the murders get revealed. Uh, it's starting to feel and unfold the way a manga might, and that's actually got given me some forward momentum for this. And so slow start for sure is common, but I think once the story has kicked in, the Children of the Atom is really going to be making its appearance here. And yeah, like how this affects the other mutants of the world and how mutants are being defined and what that even means. And so I like the ragtag team we have here, the being led by a team of kids, with Hisako at the center of this. So it's been a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see how this continues and where we resolve, because we're getting close to the end of this second arc.
Your
And
mic, Sean.
Oh, my honorable mention this week is actually the same book that you heard me talk about in my spotlight last week. That being Kaya, because Kaya is back on stands this week with issue number 23. I already gave you the spiel last week. It's an action adventure fantasy series that I think works for all ages, but it's not a kid's book either. It's that perfect middle ground where, yes, the main characters are children, but they're dealing with things that you can feel and resonate with in a lot of ways. If you want to hear my full thoughts on Kaya, definitely check out last week's edition of this show. But I highly recommend that you jump in on this book, whether it's with this issue or picking up a trade of it at your shop. Whatever it is you do to get this comic, run out and get Kaya. Kaya 23 in stores this week, written and drawn by Wes Craig, with colors by Jason Wardy and letters by Ann World Design. It will not disappoint you, I promise. We've got one last thing to do here, and that is put the spotlight on one of the pals and let them have the floor to talk about whatever book they want. It's a free-for-all, essentially. But we know who the spotlight's going to be because it's the only one of us that hasn't gone yet. That being Tyler.
Well, now that I get to talk about any book that I want in my spotlight, I'm here to talk about the good book itself, the Bible. No, I'm here to talk about Secret Six, Omnibus Volume 1, that was graciously gifted to me by a friend of the show and listener. He knows who he is. I don't want to blow his cover, but he knows who he is, and I sincerely appreciate it because Secret Six is one of my favorite books of all time. Secret Six is written by Gail Simone with a couple artists throughout her run on it and the subsequent issues that it was in. Nicola Scott, Dale Eaglesham, just two of the bigger names on it. And it just deals with some like Bane is the biggest villain on this team. And everyone else is like C tier or something like that. And it's really about them living. It's about them, dealing with it. It's the fallout of villains united, and it's just where am in the book right now. And the fallout of Infinite Crisis, and where do they exist in the grand scheme of the DC universe. But what it winds up being is like these ragtag characters learning to trust each other and actually enjoy each other and become friends and family towards the end. There's scenes of Bane just chilling in bed, talking about his feelings. It's really slice of life in some forms of fashion, but this is where all of like the Deadshot and his daughter stuff comes up in, that kind of permeates throughout. It's just really, really unexpected about what a superhero book could be. Um, and if anything, it's super villain book. They don't become heroes really. It's not like them, having to do the good thing or anything like that. They do good things for each other. But Catman still rips people's eyeballs out and stretches their faces up. Like they're not inherently good people, but they're trying to do good by each other as this group of friends. And it's like what Suicide Squad has tried to be since. Like this did Suicide Squad better than Suicide Squad does it now, without the threat of Amanda Waller and bombs in their heads. They really just get to be with each other. And it just introduced some of my favorite characters, like Scandal Savage, Vandal Savage's daughter, is in this. Ragdoll, which is this
Oh,
gross character. Looks like a Raggedy Ann doll, but is a contortionist and a murderer, is in this. I recommend Secret Six to anyone who can access it. There's a couple of formats in it, but they just started printing it again in omnibus form.
Nice. That's a book I've heard a lot of great things about over the years, and it sounds like it's available to be purchased. So if you guys are into it, DC Infinite or even just grabbing the omnibus is a great way to experience that series, and it's a hole for me, so I might need to check that out.
See a hole, you got to fill it.
There you go. Hopefully, we're filling the hole in your hearts for comics and comic book conversation. Thank you so much for listening to us. We appreciate you. Don't forget, Pals Pulls this Thursday to hear our thoughts about all the books that we previewed today. Hope to see you then. Until then, take care, guys.
see you next time.